All right, we're back again. Your favorite third grade teachers.
Mrs. Martin and Mrs. Pickett.
Woohoo! All right, so we're coming to you live with an update in our mass and volume unit. We've talked about volume, and we've discussed it in class at length, and we've practiced it. So now we're going to move over to mass. We ready?
Well, ready.
If you guys remember when we talked about volume, we talked about that volume was the amount of space an object takes up. So I want you to keep that in your mind, and then I want you to think that mass is, it's not the amount of space it takes up, but it's the amount of stuff that's inside of it. So if you thought about like a bowling ball, how much stuff is inside that bowling ball would be its mass. So if you thought about a bowling ball versus a kickball, which one's going to have more stuff inside of it?
Well, I'm going to guess probably that bowling ball because, I mean, what I know about a kickball is it's totally full of air. That's not going to have any stuff in it. It's just taking up space.
And if you've ever bowled, you know that ball, it has to be really heavy to hit over those pins. And so we would say that the mass of the bowling ball is going to be heavier than the mass of the kickball.
Okay, so now that we know what mass is, we got to figure out how we're going to measure it. So we know that when we're looking at volume, we were looking at tools like a beaker and a graduated cylinder. Well, now we're going to move to a tool that's called a balance. And I know lots of you probably have seen a scale at home. Maybe your parents have one, or when you go to the doctor, you have to step on a scale. That's measuring weight. So it's not necessarily looking at how much stuff you make up. So we're kind of going to have to move away from thinking like a scale and move towards a balance. And if you've ever pictured a balance before, a lot of times it's on maybe like a triangle, and then you have two pieces, and you've got maybe a cup over here and a cup over here, and you have to put items in each side to make them balance out.
Like a balance. It's in the name, isn't it?
Wow, yep. So when it's balanced, or it's flat, or it's horizontal, then we know.
Oh, geometry word.
I know. We could even talk about how it's parallel to the floor.
And it has a triangle as its base.
It does. Man, we could even throw in the word fulcrum here, which is the pivot. I know, but that's getting too technical. Okay, so when that balance is balanced, it's going to be horizontal or parallel to the floor. And when that happens, you know you have the correct mass or the amount of stuff that's in your item.
So here's an example of our balance, and we actually are weighing two things. We're weighing an elephant and a monkey on our scale. So if you can make an inference, which one do you think is heavier, Mrs. Martin?
Well, I'm thinking that the elephant has more mass because he is pulling that scale or that balance down, not a scale. So he's pulling it down. I'm thinking there's more stuff in an elephant than there is in that monkey.
Yep, you're absolutely right. So we would say that the elephant has a heavier mass, and so then let's do one more example with our balance.
All right, so now we have a balance that has two items that have certain masses, but now they're kind of at the same level. So quick, make an inference about what you think about both masses. Write it down in your notes for your summary.
I think that they would probably have an equal mass.
I'm thinking so, yeah. Why did you say that they have an equal mass?
Because the scale is exactly the same on both sides. So it's balanced, and we talked about that when a scale's balanced, it's the same weight on both sides, or same mass, excuse me.
Exactly. So there's a horizontal line that goes through here where they're exactly the same. So they're going to have the same mass.
And the last thing that you guys need to know is just what we measure in. Just like with volume, we measure in liters. With mass, we measure in grams. And so after we measure something, we would say it was 15 grams, 13 grams, and that kind of stuff.
I'm done. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Nobody.
Nobody who?
I see what you did there.